Okay.
Yeah.
So you are seeing my private videos on my screen, right? Like public and private. But just remember, if you just try to access my channel, you won't see this. Okay. You need links for you to see what I'm looking right now. Okay. This won't appear for you. That's what I'm trying to say. You need links. You can click on that link and then it will play. Otherwise, you won't see this at all. Even when you open my channel, even after giving me access to your accounts. Okay, please do remember that. I think I made a video on how to access my videos, so you can check that part. But I'm just letting you know this will not be appearing for you even after granting access. Just wanted to highlight. And one more thing, I think here I made a video, but I missed it to record the first 20 minutes or so. So I'll just cover up that and I will continue with our session. Okay, so that's what the agenda is. This session will be a bit of what can I say? A bit high level because this is my fifth session on Query Store, so I can't again go with the basics, right? So I have to go with the higher what can I say, with more details, more inner concepts with respect to Query Store. So this will be mm, a deep dive session. I can say 300 or 400. Okay, most of the things may be new for many, but I'm just giving you a glance so you can explore it later, or you can come back with your doubts once I finish up the class. Okay, so that's what I can say. Let's start the session. Let me close all this. I'll just keep this. Um, think I need to mute you guys because if you don't talk, kindly mute yourself. It's not possible for me to, come and mute each and every time. For the moment, I'm muting, but if you have any doubts, you can, if you wanted to talk, you can. Okay. So let me go to the server. So as I said, the last session, I missed it to record the first initial 20 minutes. So I will show you what I will cover that first and then I will start my session. Before I start my session, um, how many of you are aware of this setting? Where is that? Options. And then this one, parameterization. So how many of you are aware, like, what is parameterization? What are the different options? What we have and how it affects our queries? Anyone knows this? Just wanted to know. These two settings, because these two settings can change the way your queries gets executed very much. Okay, so there will be a huge impact if you change this option. And don't be surprised if you see disastrous results or any good outcome. It depends upon your queries. So I can't comment saying that simple is best or force is best. In general, by default, it is simple. But on few systems, we need to go with forced. And so if that is the case, it's a different story altogether. I will take a session on this, like what is parameterization and what is simple and forced options inside that. But I just wanted to give you a glance of it, like what is parameterization and how it affects our queries. Okay, so let me start my session. The first initial 20 minutes is what we missed. I will first cover that and then we will start the session. Mm, okay, so I need to clear up the query store for us to start. Alter database name, import set query store underscore field. Okay, so I'm just running a few stored procedures. Okay, one with one parameter and another with another parameter, 90 and 224. This is the session what I missed. So I'm just covering that initial portion and we'll continue with our session. This will be very interesting, trust me. So I'm just enabling the execution plan and I'm running the query. So we have two queries inside this store procedure. Let me show you what is that, what is there inside the store procedure. Mm. So I'm taking references from Kimberly Trip and what's the name? Kendra Little. So entire credit goes to both of them. I'm using their demos and I'm just tweaking here and there to show up these concepts. So it is not something what I'm doing on my own. What is that schema? Sales, right? Okay. Sales. Okay, this is the procedure and I have two queries inside that. So select something and then join where I'm passing the stock item as the parameter. And I have one more condition, but here I'm doing group by condition. Means I'm doing some sum of some quantity. Okay. So I have two queries inside the store procedure. One is join, and another one is group by. Just remember that. And I just ran with one parameter 90 and I got this output, this store procedure. I mean, this is the execution plan for my store procedure. Okay, just I'll keep this aside and I will take one more window and I'm running this with another parameter and I'm running this. So this store procedure is prone to parameter sniffing. Okay, means you will get different executions plan for different results. So I will show you. Um, so if you see here on the bottom, on the top, so I have two queries, right? So this one is with join and this one is with group by. And here also the same condition, join and group by. So here I got some scan and seek and some key lookups. Okay. But here, if you see, I got scan, but I didn't see any key lookups here. And I got column store indexes. Means I got two plans for two parameters. Okay. This you can easily identify with the help of query store. So let me show you how it looks. So if I go to query store, like someone was asking me in my group, how many plans do I have for one single query? So you can get that information from query store. So even if it happened in the past, you can easily get it. So for this, I got two plans. You can see one with plan 4. Okay. So I got one plan with column store index and cluster index scan and seek. And I got one more plan with 28 plan ID. And I got different plan. Some adapt to joins and this stuff. So have you ever seen this adapt to join? Anyone knows what is adapt to join? You know, nested join, nested loop, hash loop, sorry, nested hash and met joins, right? What is this adapt to join? Am I audible?
No, Vamsi.
Okay.
It's a combination of both marriage join, I think.
No, actually, Adapt to Join is there from 2017. Okay, just wanted to highlight few things here. If you appear for interview, guys, so all of us will answer. Definitely, will answer our performance issues, those things. But how you answer them and how you differ from others matters most. Okay, so for the people who are already part of my training, there is a video on Adapt to Joins. Okay, just a second. I think nested something should be there. Yeah. When do nested joins, hash joins, and met join comes into picture? And I think there is one more video related to adapt to joins as well. So you can just check that part. So adapt to joins are there from 2017 or 2019. And what are, see, this is the one. What are adapt to joins and how it plays an important role in case of parameter sniffing issues. So we already made a video on this. You can watch them. So that's what I'm saying. If you want it to be different from others, you have to learn internals. Definitely, you will get selected. I'm not denying that, but how you differ from others matters most. Okay, let's move on. So I got two execution plan for one query, and I got two execution plan again for one more query. So I got cluster, column store index, and one more stuff, index seek and key lookup. So we got two plans here, right? So how will you identify like how many plans do I have for single query, you can get that information from query store if you are using query store, or else you can use DMVs to retrieve that. But information will not be persisted when you use DMVs. So that is the reason for critical databases, you have to make use of query store to save all this information. Any questions here? I am asking questions because these concepts are little difficult to digest. So that is the reason I am asking if there are any questions. Nothing else. Okay. So let's move on. And what if I execute the same query? Okay. With instead of procedures, I am using ad hoc queries. Okay. So these are the plans what I got. So what if I execute the same query like this? So I'm saying 90. Sorry, this one is 90. Okay. And I ran one more store procedure. One more query with another parameter. That parameter is 224. Just we are running the same query, but instead of using store procedure, I'm running this ad hocly. So this is called as ad hoc queries. Okay. So now if I run this query, what will be my execution plan? Will I get the same execution plan or will I get different execution plans?
Different.
Different.
Okay, let's start and check the execution plan. So I got column store index, cluster index scan, and cluster index seek. Let's find out whether we have the same thing. So I ran the first query, right? So here I got um, index seek, key lookup, and cluster index. So I got different plan. So if I come over here, is that first one? So I got this plan. With 90, I got the same plan. See, if I compare the parameter with 90, with store procedure and without store procedure, with store procedure, I got column store index scan. And here also I got column store index scan. Let's check that with 224 and see if they are differing. Okay. So first let's execute this. So if I see 224, I got adapt to join. Let's see what is the case for 224. So this is about 90 and let's check 224. So I got the same plan of what I am getting for store procedure. Someone said we'll get different plans, right? Why you mention like we'll get different plans? What made
Oh,
it?
I didn't check the parameter 90 and all that. I just said it's gonna go ad hoc, then it's not
Okay.
gonna have plan store. So that's
See,
why I said different.
remember, when I executed the store procedure, I'm using with recompile. With recompile. If you use with recompile, it means that you have to execute it freshly irrespective of your parameter. So that means you will not get parameter sniffing problems, but your CPU will be high. Okay. If you use with recompile for any store procedure, that means you are instructing SQL Server to compile that store procedure again. You are not allowing SQL Server to what can I say, to make use of the same plan. Okay, what are the plan that gets cached? It won't use that plan because you are instructing SQL Server to go with recompile. When you say recompile, it has to compile it again. Advantage is you will not get parameter sniffing problems, but the downside is your CPU will go high because every time SQL Server has to compile this store procedure. So now if I remove this, okay, and if I run this store procedure again, okay, without recompile. So whatever the parameter that goes first, the plan will be saved and that plan will be used. So here, if I run with 90, so this will get used for 224 also. I'll show you now. So this is column store index, right? So let me run this. So I got the plan, column store index, fine. Now I'm running 224. For 224, we have to get adapt to join. But if I run this now, I will not see adapt to join. I will see column store index. Let me check the plans both together. Okay, you will see the same thing. Previously, I used to get, let me show you side by side, then only you'll understand. Are you getting, guys? These are bit complicated examples, so that is the reason I'm asking again and again. Okay, this is the plan what you get. Index seek and key lookup. With 224, it will be like adapt to join column store index. You will not see this lookup. Okay, key lookup is not there with 224 because whatever the parameter that goes in first, so 90 went first inside my plan cache. So that will be reused irrespective of the parameters what I pass. So this is called as parameter sniffing problem. Okay, the first parameter goes and sits in the cache. For every other parameter, SQL will try to make use of the same stuff. Okay, any questions? If you use recompile, you will get different plan because you are compiling it from the scratch. You won't get parameter sniffing issues here, but the problem is with CPU. Yeah.
Vamsi, how much time does it take to recompile?
Uh, your voice is not clear.
I said, how much time does it take for a
Recompile.
procedure to recompile?
It depends upon your store procedure because it has to compile it again. There is no such metric like how much time will it take. You can get that information from.
Do we get it? Put that in.
No, it's not at all clear, bro. How about others? I'm not able to understand what he's saying.
I said, how much performance rate does it
Same here.
get for us also?
Yeah,
His mic may be problem.
maybe.
Vamsi, what version of SQL you using? SQL 22?
SQL, you are saying what is that SQL? Someone was asking SQL?
Yeah, I'm asking the version of SQL. Which one are you running? Is 22 or?
2022.
I am on compatibility level 2017, but I'm sitting on 2022.
Oh, okay. All right. Thanks.
Okay, now if I run this with Adhoc, I got different plans. 90, I got one plan, and for 224, I got some other plan. I mean, adaptive joins and key lookups and something. So the good side with Adhoc queries is there is no problem with parameter sniffing when it comes to Adhoc queries. If you see here, I don't have any issues with what is it, parameter sniffing, because SQL has to compile this for each and every parameter what you pass for Adhoc query. So there is no problem of parameter sniffing here. So you can say, why not Adhoc queries instead of store procedure? Again, the problem is SQL has to run this query every time, right? Every time it has to run that query, and it has to compile the plan for it and save. It has to save the plan in the plan cache. So the problem is you will see something called as Adhoc plan cache bloat. So I'll just write the name because these are all different terminologies and it's not that easy to digest. So now my only conclusion here is Adhoc query will not cause parameter sniffing problem. Okay. So I'm just writing it down just for your information sake. Adhoc queries will not cause PS. I'll test PS. PS problems, parameter sniffing problems will not be there. Okay, the problem will be there only when you use store procedure. This I have highlighted many times, but I am repeating it again. Okay. Store procedures are prone to parameter sniffing problem, but advantage is CPU problems will not be there, and there will not be a question of plan cache bloat. Okay, that is the advantage with store procedure. So we have advantages with Adhoc, we have advantages with store procedure. So if you ask me what is the right way, there is no certain right way. It depends upon your workloads and how you implement them. Okay. So imagine now you got a scenario where most of your queries are Adhoc queries. Okay. Most of your queries are Adhoc queries. When I say Adhoc queries, what are Adhoc queries? In simple terms, nothing but anything without store procedure. Okay. Anything that has been coming up from application using SP underscore execute SQL. Using dynamic SQL also falls into this category. Okay, what is dynamic SQL? What is SP execute SQL? What are prepared statements? Again, it's a different long story. We'll catch up some other time. Okay, so I will talk about that. But now let's try to understand a problem about Adhoc queries. Imagine I'm running now with different parameters, like I'm passing 90 now, 224, and again I'm passing with 100. So each time you are getting with different values. This value, stock item equal to something. Okay, so every time SQL Server has to save this. We don't have any data, but it has to compile it again. Okay, now if I go to my query store, just to show you up how it looks. If you have any questions, you can stop me, guys, because I'm again saying because this is not that easy topic to digest. Okay,
So,
let's.
Vamsi, I have one question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So how much you say like for Adhoc query, it will create a new plan and it has to compile it again and again.
Yes.
So
Yes.
what is the limitation? Like how much Adhoc statements or query it can capture to it's causing a bloating, right? So on what it depends how much query it can capture.
No, your
Like
question,
Adhoc ones.
So you are saying what is the upper limit, something like that?
Limit. Yes. There is
no
on
limit.
which it is depend, like it's memory or something.
There is no limit. It will entirely use your plan cache. So if you ask me what is the maximum plan cache size, in general, it is 25% of your max memory. Okay, so that is the max what plan cache use. But there are situations where if you run any of your DMVs, it says plan cache is huge compared to buffer pages, almost similar to our buffer pages. If that is the case, you have problems with ad hoc queries. Okay, so you have to identify that. There are certain DMVs, I will share that later. There is no limit because SQL has to compile it again and again, right? So let me show you quickly. Like, let me clear this off. Where is that? I've written that alter database names, procedure, clear cache, right? Somewhere. Where is that, man? Okay, let me do it here. I'll just clear the cache and I will show you just quickly. Find word that's set query storms. Okay, this is done. So now my everything will be gone here. Let me refresh. Okay, nothing is there. Okay, everything got cleared out. Now I'm running this for the first time with 220, all three queries. Okay, I ran three queries. Now let's come here and just refresh this. See, I got all my three queries. Okay, so even if I run with all different parameters, no matter what, let's say, for example, I'm running this with 100. Okay, so I don't know if the data is there. Okay, we got the data. So let's check this again. Unless and until you pass the same parameter, the plan cache count will be same. That's what I'm trying to highlight here. If you see execution count is 1, plan cache is 1. Okay, now if I refresh this, it will be 2 for 224 and 90, but not for others. Okay, now see, I got one more list, one more query got added into my query store. Even your query store will get hampered if you run a lot of ad hoc queries. Are you getting the concept, guys? I will repeat it. I will make sure that you got the concepts right. That is my main intention because there is plenty to give, but you have to understand. If you don't understand, there is no point of teaching.
Vamsi, I have a
So,
doubt.
Hmm.
So when we can get multiple plan IDs for same query, then for Haddock queries, I'm asking.
For ad hoc queries, you won't get it.
Okay.
Each and
So
every time you will get. So see, I will do one more thing just for clear understanding. I'm clearing it off again. Okay, let me refresh this. So nothing is there. Okay, so I'm running this with 90, 224, 100, and let's do 1000.
this is Adhoc.
These are all ad hoc queries. Okay, these are all ad hoc queries. 1000, and I'm doing it for one more thing like 500. Okay, whether I get the results or not doesn't matter. Let's. Okay, I made a mistake. Okay. Okay, I ran for different parameters, right? Now, if I go to my query store and if I refresh this, see all 5 queries are here, right? So I mean, if you just expand this, you will get to know what is the value also. So let me just expand this. Okay, now it is 224, 100, 90, 500, 1000. So if I imagine if that is the query that is hitting your database with different stock item IDs, every time SQL has to compile this and it has to save this inside plan cache as well as query store because I'm using query store, right? Are you getting?
yes,
Yeah.
Vamsi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now,
So, Vamsi,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah. So let's say our same example, I'm using that SP and running for the first time without compile with 80 or 89 parameter.
Mm-hmm.
After that second time, I'm executing same query with different parameter, let's say 224 with the compile. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So plan will be changed for second time, right?
Yeah, it
So
will get
third time
changed.
again I'm executing 89 without recompile.
Okay.
Then my plan will be same or will be the first plan
It will be
because
the
first
first
it is
plan.
figuring.
So I will show you that also, but let's first finish off this. So unless I'm using the same value, okay, I'm using 90 again. Okay, if I'm running the same query again, then only my plan count will get increased to 2. So now plan count is 1 for all, right? Let me refresh this. Okay, now if see, sorry, not plan count, execution count. Execution count got increased to 2 now because I ran the same query. And for your information, even if I make spaces here, okay, let's say, for example, I'm just moving like this. Okay, just I'm giving spaces, nothing else. If I run this now, this will be a different query for SQL Server. I'll show you. This has to be 3, right? Because I'm using 90. But let me refresh this. See, it is still 2, and I got different query at the bottom with same value. I'll show you that also. Just a second. That is a problem with Adhoc queries. Even if you give spaces, if you add comments, everything, whatever, even if a single line, if it get added, it will be a different SQL, different value. See, the spaces one equal to 90. Here there is space. Here there is no space. Are you getting the concepts now? I hope so.
Yes,
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Vamsi.
So even spaces counts here. And the problem is if you run queries, something like this is called as plan cache bloat. It will bloat your plan cache because of your ad hoc queries. Ad hoc queries plan cache bloat. Okay, to minimize this, there is an option in SQL Server called as optimize for ad hoc workloads. How many of you are aware? I think most of you will turn on this option once you install the SQL Server as part of your best practices. I think it will be here, somewhere here. Optimize for ad hoc
Yeah,
yes,
workloads.
yeah.
Yeah, this one.
it is on the production. Yeah.
Yeah, it
So
has to be true. It has to be true just because if you are having any ad hoc queries, okay, what it will do is it will just create something called as what is that exact term? Plan stub. Okay, don't ask me what is plan stub. We will discuss this later. So it will decrease the plan cache size only for the first time. I'll repeat this statement. It will decrease the plan cache size for different parameters only for the first time. If you execute it for the second time, again, it will be similar to the problem what I'm talking about. That is ad hoc plan cache bloats. Okay, you will get the same problem again. So it only saves you for the first occurrence of that values. If it happens again, then there is no option for it. So you will have this problem. Okay, this is something called as ad hoc plan cache bloat. Why am I explaining all this? Because one of my mates in my WhatsApp group, he asked me because he's having the same problem with different values. Okay, so they are using 90, 224, 100 for his application. So his plan cache is getting bloated because of ad hoc queries. So what is the solution that I have to come up with if you're having this kind of problem, right?
What is the solution to come up with?
Yeah. So what is the solution? So we'll talk about the solution now. Did you get the problem first? That is the important thing.
No, I joined late.
Yeah,
So
another question.
Yes, Vamsi.
my question to this, what you just displayed now, turning up the ad hoc optimization from the server side from false to true. He said it can only affect the
First time. Yeah. So yeah,
and after that it won't do anything again.
yes, that's true. If it happens again, the entire plan has to get compiled again. So that is there is a term something called as plan stub. I will explain with another demo for the plan stub because that is not my intention here. My intention is with query store. So I will take your question and I will show you what is plan stub and how it affects. I mean how it improves the performance for the first time about this option. Okay, let's
Vamsi.
yeah.
Vamsi. In the meantime, the same parameter for 90,
Hmm.
the value.
Hmm.
Can you run that procedure one? Execute the procedure.
We will talk about procedure. I will talk about procedure. Just a second. Now let's talk about how to avoid this problem. Okay, if you want store procedure, we can quickly do this. So
Yeah, I just want to check the
yeah.
whether this
So
query is can
so
see
I'm
in
I'm
the
running this without recompile. Okay, so 90.
yeah.
Okay, I got some plan. I am not focused on plans now. Uh, let's
Yeah,
control
that's fine. I want to see only 90.
only 90. Okay, let's see and let's see the query store. Okay, now I got USB this one. Okay, let me go to select and go to properties. And here you can see stock item ID as 90. Okay, so my 90 is there inside my query store. Okay, now the same thing. What if I go with 224? I think this one, I think I ran with what parameter? Let me check. 90 only. Okay, I have with 90. I ran 2 times 90. Okay, so now let me run with some other parameter, 224, for instance. 224. Let me run this. Okay, it got compiled and got saved. So now if I go to query store, now the plan count will be 2. See this? Execution count. Sorry, I'm saying plan count. I'm sorry for that. Execution count will be 2. So now if I do with some other parameter, let's quickly test with 100, 500, something like that. 100, okay. 500, okay. 1000. Now you will get to know what is the difference between ad hoc query and the store procedure. So I run this now. See, I got execution count as 5. I didn't get separate entries like what you are seeing for ad hoc queries. That is the beauty of store procedure. It will make use of the same plan again and again instead of compiling for each and every execution. 1 second, guys. Oh, sorry. My baby was asking me about this. Yeah. Any
Vamshi,
questions? Yeah.
I have one question, Vamshi.
Ah.
So with this stored proc execution, we are saying the execution count will kept on increasing, in which
Yes.
case it will make use of the same plan, right?
Yeah.
But generally, it should not be using the same plan because of the parameter sniffing issue, right?
So it will use. Okay. That is what SQL is all about. It will use whatever the parameter that goes in first. It sits there and that gets reused. Whatever the different parameters you pass doesn't matter. So parameter sniffing comes into picture. It will be there for all different workloads. Only thing is, if your data distribution is not, what can I say, equally, if it is equally distributed, then it is fine. You will not face that parameter sniffing problems. If it is unequally distributed, you will face some problems. I will show you in the next demo.
Okay.
Okay, so that is the problem with parameter sniffing. So if someone asks you what is parameter sniffing, I can say now, I hope you can now say confidently that the parameters, whatever that goes and first and sits in the plan cache, that gets reused again and again. It will be 90 all the time. So I ran with 100, 500, something, right? So if you see it now, if I go to the parameter list, it will show with compile value as 90 only, but runtime value is 100, 500, 1000, something else. Okay, from where I can get that runtime value and that information only from if you execute that query, then only you will get that. If you see now, okay, now if I go to the properties, so now you can clearly see the difference. Compile value is 90, runtime value is 1000. So if compile time value and runtime value is differing, and if you are having problems with execution because maybe 1000 should have get a different execution plan than from 90, right? We don't know. If that is the case, if 1000 is getting the same plan to that of 90, you will see problems. That is what parameter sniffing is all about. It is sniffing. Sniffing means it is just getting that value on top of his head, and it is trying to make use of the same value and again, irrespective of the parameter what you passed. So this is the downside with procedure. But advantage is you are not compiling it again and again. You are saving the CPU cost here. When it comes to ad hoc queries, you will not see parameter sniffing problem because it gets compiled each and every time. The problem is CPU gets increased because you are compiling it for each and every query. So this is the trademark. Whether you have to go with ad hoc queries or with procedures, it depends upon your workloads. So you have to understand the difference between ad hoc queries and procedures parameters.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
If I am executing the same ad hoc query with the stock ID equal to 90 from an application and passing it as SP underscore execute SQL, will it go as parameterized or
It
ad
will
hoc?
go as parameterized. It will not go as ad hoc. If you use SP execute SQL, it will go as parameterized. So that is one more good thing. Okay. So if you are having problems like this, okay, like what I'm showing, 90, 224, 100, 500,000 with ad hoc queries, then how will you overcome that? So as you just now said, if you use SP execute SQL, you will not face this problem. It will get parameterized. Okay, it is very much similar to our procedure. It is similar,
It
not
will
very
use
much.
the same plan
Same
ID
plan.
multiple
Yes.
times.
Yes, it uses the same plan multiple times. Okay, now if you are having that luxury to rewrite that queries using SP execute SQL, then it is fine. If you don't have the control, imagine it is a vendor application, then what will you do for these kind of queries?
Right, with vendor.
right? What you said is absolutely fine. You have to rewrite your queries using SP execute SQL. But imagine it's a vendor application and you cannot touch the code.
Yeah.
But still you have to
So
mitigate
I
this
have
problem.
faced one issue where it is going as parameterized, but it is generating multiple plans.
Hmm.
When I checked in query store, it is showing @ well.
Yeah,
There are
yeah,
so
yeah.
many errors in it.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay, now
Taking sometimes it is working fine, sometimes it is not working.
because you will get parameter sniffing problems there also if you go with SP execute SQL.
Yeah.
Okay, coming back to this,
Okay.
how will you mitigate the problem now if without using SP execute SQL?
Parameterization force.
Yes, if I go with parameterization forced, you can do it. There is one more thing called as plan guides. First, let's talk about plan guides just for a second, and then I will go with parameterization forced. So there is something called as plan guides. Let me show you where it is. Um, Plan guides, yeah. So just copy this. This is there on the internet. Okay, even if this is all from Microsoft, I am not taking it from somewhere. Just go and run this query. Okay, change your query as is. You don't need to do anything. Just copy this and run it here. That's it. You don't need to do anything. So what we are doing is we are creating a template for our query and we are creating something called as plan guides. Why I'm talking about plan guides, I'll let you know in few seconds. So this is one way of overcoming the problem. Okay, just take one of your queries, 90 or 224, doesn't matter. Okay, I'm just taking 90 here. You can take any example, 90, 224, 100, 500, doesn't matter. Just take this and run this. Okay, now if I go to my database, if I refresh my database, under programmability, there is something called as, okay, plan guides. So this is where your plan guide is coming into picture. Okay, now let me clear the plan cache again. Sorry, query store again. Okay, and let me run these queries again 90, 224, 100, 1000, 500. I'm running all five together. Before running, how can you test whether the plan guide will be used or not? You can test this by using estimated execution plan. You don't need to even go with the real execution plan. I mean, actual execution plan, even estimated execution plan works fine. If I run this, okay, it is showing the estimated execution plan. If I go to my select and if I go to the properties, there you can see plan guide name as this name. So this is my name for my plan guide. I'm giving this template guide one. So SQL is making use of the same one. Okay. Now let's run these five queries together. Doesn't matter whatever it is. So now if I come up to my query store, where is query store? It is here. Let me refresh this. See, now I got four executions. Means I didn't get different entries here, 90, 224, 500, 1000, whatever it is. So it is now trying to make use of um, um, different values with, because it has parameterized value. So this is called as plan guide. Okay. This is one way to overcome our problem. Means what you are saying is you are instructing the SQL server to go with parameterization as forced for this query, only for this query. Okay. If you are having problems with multiple queries, then it is not possible for us to go and create plan guides for each and every query, right? It's not possible. If it is just problem with few queries, you can make use of this technique called as plan guides. These are called as plan guides. Okay. Only for few queries. If the entire database is having issues with ad hoc queries, then there is no other go. You have to go with forced parameterization. Means if I go and if I change this to forced there, then it works just like our plan guides. I will clear off this query store again, and I will show you if I change this to plan guide. Sorry, not plan guide, forced parameterization. I'm clearing this off. Nothing is there. If I go to my query store again, refresh, empty, nothing is there. Now what I will do is I'm dropping the plan guide also because I have to drop the plan guide. Oh, sorry, plan guide. It is no more. Now these are the queries. Okay. If I execute this individually, there will be five entries. But instead of that, what I'm doing is I am changing this to forced parameterization from simple. Where is that option? Simple, yeah. Simple to forced. That's it. Now I changed that. I'm executing the 5 queries again. Okay, I got the results. Now let's go to the query store and see. Again, I got the 4 entries here. It is trying to make use of the plan what we got for one query, whatever it is. That I think it will be 90. If I go and check this, it will be 90, I believe so. If I go to the parameter list, it is with compile value of 1000. Okay, let it be for 1000. Here we can check for other parameters. So that is what plan guide and forced parameterization is all about. This is just an introduction, guys. There is plenty to talk about this, but I'm just letting you know. So the problem, there's different solutions, what we have with Adhoc queries.
See, if we enable this one, parameterization force,
Hmm.
so it is applicable to multiple Adhoc queries, am I right?
Yeah, entire data. It is at entire database level.
Yeah, okay.
So if you ask me whether I have to go with forced or simple, it depends upon your workload, first thing. And if you're having with problems with ad hoc query, and there are too many ad hoc queries that you can't control with plan guides, then you have to go with this option. Of course, as I said, there is plenty to talk on this topic, and it's very hard to cover in one session. Maybe I need to take multiple sessions to understand a deep dive on forced and simple parameters. It is one of the complex topics in SQL Server. Okay, so it won't be covered in a single day with a single session. So I'm just giving you an intro, like how you can eliminate this problem if you're having issues on your real-time environments. Questions here?
So Vamshi,
See, what is the difference basically and force parameterization?
You are breaking up, bro. What is the
I'm
difference?
asking what the exact difference between this simple and force parameterization.
Simple and forced parameters. Simple, okay. So let's understand what is simple just for a second. So now let me clear this off. Where is that, man? Yeah, query store clear. Just I will show you again. Refresh. Nothing is there. Okay. Now let's change this to simple, which is the default. Options. Forced, where is force? Forced to simple. Okay. Now if I execute these 5 queries or 90, 224, whatever it is. Okay. Previously, when we used force parameterization or plan guide, we got execution count as 4, right? For these 5 queries. Now, if I go and check my query store, refresh, there is no execution count of 4. For all your queries, you got different entries. Okay. Now, if I go to my select and if I go to the properties, there is nothing called as parameterization here. Parameters, what I've just shown is not appearing here because there is no concept of parameterization if it is ad hoc query and if you are not using plan guides or forced parameterization. Each and every query will be a different statement for SQL. It has to compile it again and again. Getting or not getting?
Simple means it's not doing anything special. It is default behavior. Like
Yes, it just takes your query, execute it, and save that inside the plan cache and query store. That's it. It won't parameterize anything. So advantage, you don't get parameter sniffing problems
and
here.
what about that option server level?
There is no option like server level. There is no option at server level. That is something
No,
called as
that we talked about. It will
optimize for ad hoc workloads, right? You're saying server level
yes,
optimize for ad hoc workload.
yes. So yes,
That is different. Okay. That is only when you
yes.
execute for the first time. So there is a special demo on it because I can't show it now. There is something called as plan stub. I have to show what is plan stub for you to understand the importance of optimize for ad hoc workloads. I will generate the workload and then I can show you. But this is only a savior if you are executing your ad hoc queries only once. If you execute it again, for example, I'm coming here and I'm running the same queries again. Okay. Now, if I execute this, okay, now optimize for ad hoc workload doesn't work here. Okay, in this case, because I executed it twice. So that is different. Don't mix up here. We'll have a special demo on it. Are you clear with the differences of procedure and ad hoc queries and plan guide and forced parameterization? There are 4 things here.
Yes, one
Yes.
clarification.
say for example, a report running daily basis,
Hmm.
that report query is only changed with the parameter as the date. Okay,
Okay.
that will considered as a ad hoc query, or as per my understanding, that would be a ad hoc query. Daily, day to day, so the date is get changed, so it
See,
will
for
consider as a
example,
different plan, right?
just for example, just imagine I'm saying where OL doc, imagine
Yeah,
that
it is
date.
90 instead of that the date
Yeah.
I'm
So
referring.
if it is executing something like this, then it is ad hoc. If it is coming from procedure, then it is not ad hoc. If you are using something like SP execute SQL in front of this, then it is not ad hoc. Just go and check your query store. That is where I'm saying query store is quite a handy tool to see how many times the queries are getting executed, whether they are getting reused or not, and whether you are getting different plans or not. All these things will be there inside your query store. Okay, don't think that query store is something only used in rare occasions. So you can use it for plenty of information. Okay, there is so much to dig when it comes to query store. Okay. And one more thing, so I will show you very important thing. So if you migrate your databases from on-prem to Azure SQL, okay, from on-prem to Azure SQL, you will see some surprises with respect to performance. Okay, sometimes the queries run super fast and sometimes queries sucks. Yeah, that issue will be there even on on-premises, but on Azure SQL, you will see quite a lot. So I will show you how that problem occurs and how to resolve that problem. So is this clear now? I mean, I know plan guides is something very new for many. So I will talk about plan guides later. Maybe a deep dive discussion on plan guides is necessary to understand what are plan guides and how to implement that. Okay, that is one thing. And forced parameterization is also a complicated topic. It needs a separate session. I'm just showing you the introduction of those topics. Okay. And last but not least, even optimize for ad hoc workloads is something that needs a special demo.
Vamshi, one thing, plan guides, as we discussed earlier in our group, is like
Hmm.
is like an old feature, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
nowadays plan guides can be replaced with query store, right? So why is that
exactly.
we are mixing
Uh,
up both the concepts here?
I will come over there. So that for you, you understood. So that I got your question but for others, digesting these topics is not that easy. Plan
Okay.
guides is still required. Okay. Plan guides is still required in case of ad hoc query, something like this. Okay. Just imagine yesterday I posted, not yesterday, even today, I told you, right? Query store hints. We discussed about query store hints, if you remember. Let me show you. Uh, yeah, I think I pasted a picture somewhere. Minimize this. If you see here, okay, I try to use query store. This is something called as query store hints. Okay, I'm not talking about query store hints now. It needs separate session again. All these are very advanced topics. I don't want to mix them up. Query store hints is also one more option that we can make use of, but this option will not work for your ad hoc queries like something like this. It is not, we are not allowed to do this. So if that is the case, you have to go with plan guides only, even on 2022 with query store hints option.
Okay.
So that is a
Yeah.
problem for ad hoc queries, but that is different.
And while going with troubleshooting these sort of issues, from on
Hmm.
what basis we will guess that this query will be benefited with these features, like the parameterization forced or the plan guides and all. We have seen multiple queries being captured in query store, right? So how do we
That is,
find?
see, first we are just introducing the problems. So
Okay.
first understand these concepts and later I'll talk about like how to identify. See, for that, I cannot replicate the workload here on my systems.
Mm-mm.
It
Yeah.
needs real-time workload to discuss on that. So
Okay.
if anyone is willing to share his or her screen, then I can very much can show you where the problem is and how to identify that. Because mine is only 2016, because I need 2017 or 2019, maybe advanced versions, I mean later versions, so that I can show you all these concepts. But I don't have 2022 in my environment. Mine is only 2016, even now. Okay, so I told you one important thing, right? Means if you migrate a database from on-prem to Azure SQL, you will see so many surprises. So let's talk about that problem for a second. Any other question on this topic?
Yeah, before that,
One
Vamsi,
one
the
Yeah, like
param.
we are okay, fine.
Yeah, go
You
ahead.
can continue. Yeah, actually, we are using SQL Server 2014, but compatibility level is SQL 2012. So I just wanted to know, like, we don't have any feature like query store, like how to get that historical information, where those query plans are not
Then
being used or something like that.
no, then you can't. You have to use DMVs only, and you have to save that information into a table. Something like SP Blitz Cache can help you to save that information on a regular basis into a table. That's what you can do on 2014, unfortunately. Even for that matter, if I don't turn on query store for important database, you can't get this information, right? Forget about 2014 for a second. Even on 2016, 2017, whatever the version, if there is no query store, how will you get this information? No,
Yeah.
you can't get it, right? With the help of query store, I'm getting this information. If query store is not there, it's not possible for me to check all this information. So that's what I'm saying. If it is an important database on your environments, make sure that query store is turned on.
Only when there is no third-party monitoring tool, right, Vamsi?
If you have third party, yes, you can use that. But when you have this functionality, like within the SQL Server, why to go up to third party tool, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
you can definitely save something out there. I think just for information sake, guys, there is one product that is available now for free, almost. It is designed by an Indian DBA, and even for his pricing, it is saying 70,000. I don't know, dollars or Indian rupees. I don't know, 70,000 per instance. That is what I have seen. Okay, even with that marketing, sorry, not marketing, with that monitoring tool. Just imagine what will be the prices for your fog light or solar winds or the bigger giants when it comes to monitoring. Monitoring will take you a lot of money. But if you're at least on lower environments and if you don't have any monitoring tools, the best bet is Query Store. Many, many features are getting added into Query Store. So if you can understand the importance of Query Store, your life will be saved. Let's move on. Someone was about to ask something. So is it still there or?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Vamsi. Blindly, can we enable the parameter force in the properties, instance for the database properties?
No, no, not at all. If you're having problems, then only you can think about forced parameterization. There is a huge, you know, templates, not templates. There is a huge documentation
Say
on this
for,
product.
say for example, what I told you know, some of the reports is running the daily basis. Those things is considered as a Adhoc queries. So for that, the there are multiple reports as you mentioned. All the queries is
Bro.
executing as it. Yeah,
See, I cannot give you an answer without checking your system at all. Okay. And
yeah, that
also
I understand.
one more thing. So if you see here, forced parameterization, you have to read this thing to,
Okay,
then only you can take a decision whether to go with forced parameterization or not. This is not at all an easy topic to comment straight away. It's a very complicated topic. Okay, but I'm just throwing you the introduction, like how it looks and how Query Store helps you in understanding all these concepts. That is what my agenda today. Okay, so no,
So
I can't take
fine.
your question.
I
Yeah,
agree with you.
sorry.
So, Vamshi, what has driven you to land into this? I mean, explore this option today. Like, you had an issue, and by playing around with this option, you were able to resolve that issue in your environment.
No, it's not my issue. Someone was asking, I think
Okay.
I posted in our group, right? Someone was having this problem. With the help of Plan Guide, we were able to implement this solution.
Okay.
So that is the reason. Yeah. Let me show you. This is very,
Vamsi,
I think you are breaking up, bro. Whenever you say Vamsi, you are gone.
yeah, one question.
Huh?
No, I have one small question. So if I don't have query store enabled and I
Hmm.
have to figure out whether my workload is ad hoc, something like that.
You can get it from SP Blitz as well. Okay, Blitz
Okay,
and Blitz Cache will help you to identify if you're having problems with ad hoc workloads. That is how my mate was able to identify the problem, and we created plan guide to overcome his problem. Okay, let me know.
So, yeah.
I can't
So
take
if
questions now.
parameterization,
Yeah. Okay, last question. Yeah.
parameterization supposed that simple makes the difference for Adhoc queries only, right? Not for
Yes.
procedures,
Yes.
right?
Not for procedures. Not for procedures. Majorly for ad hoc queries only. Not for procedures. There will not be any change with respect to procedures.
But the queries will come from Adhoc queries or procedures. We doesn't know, right? From application side.
No, you can't. It's not possible for you to figure out. But what I am saying is, if you run SP Blitz tools, it will help you if you're having problems with ad hoc or not straight away. That is why I'm saying Blitz tools has to be there on your systems to identify your problems. If someone is stopping you from running those tools, ask them what is the reason. You ask them. Okay, you have to fight with them to get them installed. It's just simple scripts, some DMVs. That's it.
Vamsi, if it is a Hadoop queries issue, so what we can see in the from out of in SP_bleach. I think you said something last time.
That
Object
is
type.
where I think I have to go up there. What is that? SP Blitz. What is it? Yes.
Yeah, you get there is a column called object type.
Yeah, this is what you will see, guys. Okay. Yeah, this is what you will find. 1 second, guys. Sorry. You will see something like this from Blitz. Many plans for one query. If you see something like
Okay.
this, then you have issues.
Okay, I got it. Vamsi.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let me go with the next demo. I'll quickly run it off. I have 15 minutes time.
I have the same thing like that of my environment. One query with many plans.
Then you have to work on these concepts. Okay, let me just quickly go with this. Let me clear this off. Okay. Imagine this is your ad hoc, Azure SQL. Okay, Azure SQL. Because I can do this on my Azure SQL as well, but I have not created this database on Azure SQL. But just I will quickly show you Azure SQL as well. Just for a second. Test 250. This works. Okay. If I create any database just for testing, the testing options, what will be the default option? SLO, right? I can create this from Portal as well. I'm just showing you the other way. It's taking time. Better do with Portal only. No, I can't do this from here. Let's do it from here. Okay, there is something called as Portal database name test. Yeah. How many of you have explored these 4 areas? In performance overview, performance recommendations, query performance insight, automatic tuning. All these are super important if you are working with Azure SQL databases. I don't have Azure SQL in my environment, so I cannot show you on my systems. But if you are having any problems with Azure SQL, let me know. I can definitely help you on this part. So there is something called as automatic tuning. Okay. So for this, we have force plan, we have create index, and we have drop index. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about force plan. I told you to watch my video before coming into this class, right?
Yes. Plan
So
correction, yeah.
yeah, plan correction I've asked you to watch. So I don't know how many of you have gone through, but we are almost touching the same topic, but with more insights. Okay, so DMVs will give you account. Okay. 1 second. Where am I? Yeah. Sorry, this database is getting resumed. That is why you are seeing that uh, message on the top. Okay, so there is something called as force plan, which is on by default when it comes to SQL Server. Okay, I'm repeating this statement. Force plan is on for your databases. Let me create one new database and you will get to know. Where is the server? This one. Very tricky part, and you will see so many surprises because of that part. So that is why I'm stressing that. Database name, I'll say something. I don't care what is development, that's fine. I'll just create and show you how it looks. Before I complete this demo, let's start our demo and I'll show you what is that. So I'm taking this example on-prem. I mean to say Azure VM or on-prem, one at the same. It's only the data center that matters. Okay, so this is nothing but on-prem 2017 version. Okay, from 2017 you can turn this option. Okay, but on Azure SQL it is turned on by default. I'm repeating, from 2017 you can turn this option on, but on Azure SQL it is on by default. That is what. So I'm just clearing this query store on this database. Okay, I'm setting this option explicitly here. You don't need to do explicitly on Azure SQL. It is by natural. So it is the default setting. Okay, so I just turned on this plan. Okay, so I'm running some few code, I mean to say some load here. Okay, so I'm running some load. Okay, the problem is again with the parameter sniffing problem. You will see parameter sniffing problem. When I run this with procedure, when I run this procedure with parameter as null, you will get different plan. When I run this with some other value, you will get different plan. Sometimes the query runs faster. Sometimes the query will be slow because of different parameters that are being passed to my procedure. So we are prone to parameter sniffing problem. Okay. So now I'm executing this for 40 times. You have to wait because without executing 40 times, I'm not getting the exact results. That is the problem. So you have to wait for it. But now my question is, how many times my store procedure got executed? How will you find out this information? Just say, for example, I'm running this for 40 times, right? You can see go 40. How will you figure out that this store procedure has run for these many times?
The query
Execution
store.
counts.
Execution code.
Someone said execution. I don't know what is that execution.
We
No,
can check
execution
it in.
count.
Execution count
Execution
from where you will
Query
get that
store.
yes, exactly. So that is where query store, again query store.
Mm.
See, query store is super handy, guys. So concentrate and try to work on query store as much as possible on your workloads. So where is that? Again, I'm saying this database is from Kendra Little. So you can get this information on the internet. So I'm not doing something here. So I'm using her information. So entire credit goes to her. So I can see execution count as 24. Okay, so now it is 26. You have to wait for it to get completed because unfortunately you have to run this for these many times to get that problem. Okay, that is the reason. So I'm executing that query. In the meantime, let's go to our database. It got created, right? Let's go to the database, something I have just created, blah, blah, blah. So if I go to automatic tuning, so if you see here, the current state is on. That's what I'm saying. Force plan is on by default on Azure SQL. It is there even on our on-premises, but it is off by default. And if you wanted to turn on, it will be done only from 2017 versions, not before that. That is first thing. Second thing, there is one more option called as create index. If you turn this option on, it will analyze your workload and it creates the indexes on the fly. And the third option, as the name says, it drops the indexes if it's not being used. So do you think these three options are useful or it will create problems?
It depends on Vamshi.
Yeah, all these answers, it's the best answer is it depends because you can't comment on it without analyzing the workloads. Now you will get to see the problem with force plan in just few seconds. So it is completed now. The first one is done. I'm just recompiling it again. Let me show you how it looks in the query store. So I executed this for 40 times, right? 42 because I have two more with just these parameters. So I got one plan here. Okay, one plan. And that plan is having index scan followed by aggregate batch operator. This is Windows aggregate batch operator. It's a new operator from 2017. We'll talk about this later. Okay, now I'm recompiling this. Okay, I recompile this means everything will be compiled fresh again. So I'm running this with null as the first parameter. In the first example, I'm running this with some 50,000 or 500K, whatever it is. In the second example, I'm starting with null. So I'm executing this again 40 times and you will see different plans straight away. So refresh this. Let's wait for it to, yeah, 43, you got different plans. So for plan one, I got Windows aggregate batch operator, and from plan 2, I got something different. Cluster index scan, something, very big plan compared to plan 1. Okay. So I didn't make, I am not forcing any queries here. Okay. But you will see force plan coming to picture automatically for us. So you will see one of the queries will get forced automatically. We'll just wait for the workload to get finished. You will see a tick mark here, because I enabled this option. What is that option? Force last good plan on, which is by default on Azure SQL. This option. This is just the same option what you are seeing on my screen. Both are one at the same. Force last good plan on, and this one is one at the same. Okay. So now let me go to query store and let me refresh this and refresh this. Okay, you have to wait for it to get completed. So once it gets completed, you will see one of your queries automatically it's getting forced by SQL Server. Why it's getting forced automatically? Because you have turned this option on. If that is off, it won't do that. Since that is on, you will see one of the queries going into force plan automatically. Let's wait for it. Unfortunately, if I execute it, yeah, see, automatically force plan came into picture. I didn't force this plan, right? Did I? No. So is this beneficial? If it is beneficial, usually this circle should be below the problematic one. If you see this one is problematic and this one is good. If something is forced, it means it has to run quickly, but you are seeing this on the top. Why do you think so? Because you have not adjusted your settings. Okay, if that is the case, what you have to see is you have to go with CPU time and you have to change this to average. Then you will see both of them are come down. Because if you see now, the average CPU time over there is 19656 for 16 executions. And if you see at the bottom, for 15 execution counts, the average CPU time is just 3315. Means we are getting benefited with force plan automatically getting triggered for this execution, for this kind of workload. Okay. Understood or not? We're almost done.
So is it good and
Vamsi.
advisable to use that force execute plan in all the queries, Vamsi?
You will get to know shortly. You will get to know. Don't get surprised. That's what I'm saying. You will see performance gains in sometimes, and you will see performance is getting affected drastically. We'll get to know very shortly. Okay, it is done now. Workload is done. I got.
Vamshi, why is that, we see two tick boxes there? It should be one, right?
After some time it disappears. That's what query store. Don't get surprised. After some time it will get disappeared. And also the parameter what you pass sometimes may vary, and you will get to see this also.
Slightly, okay.
Slightly. Okay, so it doesn't matter about those 2 circles or 3 circles. Concentrate on the internals.
Vamsi, one more question. All this plan is showing only CPU. Why not other parameter? Because when the plan is cached, right, it definitely
see
lot of other parameter too.
SQL Server is forcing the plan. Okay, SQL Server is saying force plan is getting used for that query. I didn't force this plan. It is coming up from this decision. Okay, let me show you that query. If I run this now, okay, SQL Server analyzed our query and she thinks or he thinks, whatever it is, it observed that CPU time got changed from this many seconds to these seconds. Means if you see now, that's what I said. See that number 19656, right? Okay, that was the execution. And for the bottom ones, it is just 3357, some value. Okay. So SQL Server is thinking that if I force this plan, okay, if I force this plan, our executions will be faster based on CPU time, average CPU time. So it is calculating from average CPU time, not with respect to logical reads or logical IOs or what are the metrics, what you are seeing. It is purely taking this decision from average CPU time.
Right. If suppose I'm just asking a hypothetical question. If I have one query is taking more CPU but less memory, the other query has very
matter.
less CPU
No,
plus very
I
memory.
understood your
It's gonna
question.
calculate only. Okay. I just want to clarify that concept.
Yeah. Now let's, for example, your question, if you throw this up, let's say, for example, memory consumption. If I go this year, I got 2 plans. Okay. Even with respect to memory consumption on average, I can see force plan is very well less consumed. So if I go to average memory consumption, it is 1024 KB, which is 1 MB. And if I go to the top one, it is how much it is? 75217, which is 752 something, right? So obviously, with respect to memory count also, forced plan are working perfectly fine. But again, this decision is being made from average CPU time, not from any other perspective. As far as I know,
Okay.
I'll check that again because we don't know the extra parameters, right? So
Yeah.
let me
No,
check
that just Thank you for clarifying that. Appreciate that.
Vamsi,
Yeah.
you executed this 14 times, okay?
Not
So,
14 times, 40 times.
after how many executions? No, 40, yes, 40
Hmm.
times. So after how many executions SQL Server decided this plan is a good plan for this workload? Like that.
There is
Like
no
it
these
should collect some sample, right, in the backend?
Yeah, it is collecting and there is it is coming up with some score. I don't know how that score is getting calculated. Don't ask me. These are done behind the scenes for us. Okay, that is what Microsoft is doing. It is collecting our information. That's what you are seeing the telemetry service, right? How many of you have noticed telemetry? If I say telemetry, it will be.
No.
Yes, Vamshi, it sends our stats to Microsoft.
Yeah, it sends the information to Microsoft and they are doing all these tricks behind by getting our data. Okay, so there is something called as telemetry service. It's I think
TIP, right?
something will be there. Telemetry is there. We'll talk about that later.
Windows level, we can say, I believe. So
Yeah, maybe. Forget about
And
that.
the control panel Vamshi.
Yeah, whatever it is, I don't bother about it. Let's try to understand the trickiest part of this. Okay. Okay, now coming here, you are seeing that, right? So now I will just show you. I'm using with recompile now. Even if I use with recompile also, if I run this now, okay, so it will take 6 seconds usually. Yeah, 4 or 6. Now I'm not seeing that lengthy execution plan with null operator. Before before this, null operator means it will give you a very lengthy plan, but now it is not giving because my force plan is asking me to go with this execution plan rather than that lengthy plan. Even if recompile is there, doesn't matter. That is the power of force plan. If force plan is there, it overrides the behavior of recompile. Okay, even force, that is the biggest asset I can say. This one is okay, 5,000 or 500,000. It has to make it use the same plan, so that is fine. So force plan, how can you say my plan is getting forced here? I told you in my previous session. If you're not there, just I'll show you. There is something called as use plan true. If you see use plan as true, that means force plan is getting used here. Okay, that is how you will identify whether your query is making use of force plan or not. You can get this information from query store. Queries with forced plans, all the queries that are using the force plan can be seen here. This is one more way to identify. And after executing the query, you can get it from here also. This is one more way. Okay. Now, the biggest problem, I'll tell you what is the biggest problem. Just a second. By completing this, we'll close our session. So I'm just running it again null with some recompile takes the same plan. Just I'm testing it couple of times. So same thing. Okay, now I'm updating the stats. Okay, just like our maintenance plan, I'm just updating the stats on this table. Okay, and I'm even clearing the procedure cache just to see if I'm getting the same plan or not. Okay, I'm running the threshold null just to see how it looks. Okay, execution plan, same plan. No, not that lengthy store procedure. Now, remember, this is the most important thing that you have to remember. Don't ever miss this topic. I'm just deleting the data and I'm rolling it back because I don't have enough data to update the stats, right? Okay, I don't have enough data. Means the problem here, I will tell you once I finish off this. Let me run this update stats again. And you will see something very unusual. Force plan is still there, right? Let me refresh now. Force plan is gone now. See, the tick marks has to be there, but it is not happening now. You know the reason? I'll show you here. So it will show you something like this. Let me show you again. I think it will be here. Yeah, this one. If you see my force plans, it's unforced now. If you are seeing this button enabled, right? That means that I have to force this plan again. You know why it unforced my plan automatically?
Is
This
it because of
Underlying
detection,
data
Vamsi?
distribution changed. That's
yeah,
what.
the problem here is, guys, very, very important. That's what I said. I'll conclude this. If you run your update stats on your tables, okay, if you run update stat because the data got changed, SQL Server will automatically unforce this plan. That's what I did. I intentionally deleted the data, and again I said roll back because I don't have a data load here, right? So that is the reason I just went with this option. I deleted the data and then I rolled it back just to trigger that something got changed. Okay, just to mimic the real-time workload, I did this action and I updated the stats. Immediately after updating the stats, my plan got unforced. My plan got unforced. So this is the trickiest part in Azure SQL, right? So in Azure SQL, you are using automatic force plan. Okay, so it is forcing the plan behind the scenes. Fantastic. It works perfectly fine. But if you just update your stats as part of your maintenance routine, it comes down automatically, means it gets unforced automatically. So sometimes the queries runs faster because force plan is in the picture automatically behind the scenes. It is being triggered by Microsoft. I mean to say by SQL Server. Okay. And at the same time, if you run the update stats, it will get unforced. And since it got unforced, my query execution times will vary certainly. I mean, it goes drastically, right? Since it got unforced. This problem will not appear if you force manually, guys. If this force plan is being triggered by system, right? If you see here, there is something called as, you will see this action in my next demo. There is something called as execute action initiated by system. Means system is doing behind the scenes. If it is being triggered by system and if you update the stats, it will unforce the plan. But if you have done it manually, like if I go here and if I do force plan, then this problem will not happen, guys. Okay. So just imagine how tricky this is, right? Are you with me or not? Are you getting the concept?
So you mean to
Yeah,
say that,
absolutely.
understand that part. You mean to say that manually, if we force the plan through the query store, that even the automatic plan
Exactly.
is enabled, it will not get changed.
I mean, even if you run the update stats, there won't be any impact.
Any change? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, if you do it by system, means SQL Server is doing behind the scenes for you. And if you run update
Right.
stats, that is what happens with respect to Azure SQL. Okay, that is default, right? That is the default behavior of Azure SQL. So if you run update stats, your plan will get unforced automatically and you will not even get noticed. Okay, and your people will start shouting saying that your performance is getting hampered. You don't know the reason at all. You will think Azure SQL is slow because of general purpose, because the storage is slow, or you will think that option, this option, query store, sorry, CECL, whatever you call. But internally, this is what is happening. How
So
will
it
you
is
identify this
applicable.
problem?
Yeah, it is applicable in query Azure SQL as well as in on-prem. I
On-prem,
mean the force
if
plan.
you turn this option on, okay,
Yeah.
on-prem, if you
So
turn
for
this option,
example, so for
let's
in Azure SQL,
no, let's see on-prem. Will you turn this option on for
no,
a second?
manually we are triggering on. Okay.
Manually, it's fine. That's what I'm saying. Manually, if you identify few queries and if you're doing force plan, it's perfectly fine. I do agree as part of temporary remediation. But if you're using this option, which is the default behavior of Azure SQL, and if your stats getting changed, okay, it unforces the plan automatically. So it's a very tricky option, very dangerous option. Okay, so if you ask me, I will say not to go with this option. Take control. It's a DBS responsibility to identify the queries that gets benefited with force plans. It's not SQL Server's responsibility. If it is SQL Server, this is what the surprises what you get.
And
So,
Vamsi,
Vamsi, when is get unforced? Like suppose manually we force the plan. When we run dbcc or other commands, which is gonna flush all the
No,
plan
DBCC
to.
pre-pro cache, nothing will happen because there will not be any impact. I already have shown in my previous example. So even if I run dbcc free procache, there will not be any effect whatsoever. No problem with that.
And
Okay,
Vamshi, to
thanks.
force a plan
Then update
manually,
stats would be as part of our maintenance we do
Exactly.
regularly. So it
Regularly.
will happen.
It will happen. That's what I'm saying. So your update stats will happen either on daily basis or on weekly basis, right? Sometimes your queries will be slow. Sometimes your queries will be faster. You don't know the reason. That's what I'm saying. Azure SQL is very tricky because of these internals. If you turn that option off, then there will not be any surprises. But you don't know about this topic, right? That is what I'm trying to conclude here. Most of us are not aware that update stats will cause problem on Azure SQL because of force plans, which is default by nature.
Thanks,
Right?
Vamshi.
Yeah, that is what I'm trying to conclude here. Okay, it's too late. 5:37. I have to run now. If you have any questions, you can drop in me a message. Yeah.
one final thing, Vamshi, to
Yeah.
force it manually, we don't need to enable that option explicitly, right?
Yes. You don't need to enable it option, and you have to force it manually. So then there is lot of control. Okay. And just for
So
information, guys, please do remember, okay, don't share the videos. I'm asking you again, because if you see, what is this? Okay, where is that, man? See, my bills are going up higher and higher. Okay. So please, I'm doing a lot of work behind the scenes to generate these demos, and it takes a lot of money. Okay, this is not for free because I'm using Azure resources. So please respect my hard work. That's it. Nothing else.
So, Vamsi, one last question. I know you have to go.
Yeah.
What about the Azure SQL Managed instance? Does he have by default enabled these
Yes.
features? Or
Even there also we will get similar problem. Manage instance also same problem. PSPO is different,
Thanks.
Shiva. So we'll talk about that later. Okay, so it's different story. I need to rush, guys. So sorry, I have to close this off. I will.
No, thanks for a good session, man. I really
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Vamshi.
Thank you. Bye.
thank you, Vamshi, for a nice session.